My name is Warren Stokes. I'm the Director of Sales at Avidian Technologies, and I am delighted to share the third training in this series of Outlook training topics here. This is Outlook Advanced Training, and congratulations if you've made it this far. There were two prior webinars on this. They're all recorded as videos, and you can grab my contact information here if you don't already know me. We're going to dive right in here. I wanted to give you just some kind of frame the training session with some topics here and some concepts, and then we'll spend most of our time actually showing you how to do all these advanced super cool tricks in Microsoft Outlook. To start off with, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the agenda here. So we're going to cover 7 different kind of categories of advanced functionality in Outlook. One of them will be advanced conditional formatting. It's how to basically do things like color code emails on various criteria like the sender or keywords, how to format your calendar in different ways that'll be very useful and help you manage your time. Color coding tasks and other ways to manage tasks, which are part of the Outlook suite, as you'll see. And there's ways to color code contacts in Microsoft Outlook. We'll be showing you some really cool special tricks in terms of how to use your advanced calendaring functions, choose colors and themes in Outlook in general. Here's one that we covered before, but I'm going to cover it again. I got a lot of questions about how to create a drop-down list or a date picker, various things in an email. And that's a pretty cool little feature. There's some things just on kind of how to move things around and different ways to save things in Outlook. We'll be diving into the advanced magic of rules, and that's always a fun topic. One of the really big time savers is to be able to automate repetitive actions. So there's really nice functionality built into Outlook that helps you do that. And we can do things like automate email replies. Most of you know what out of office rules are, but there's ways that you can, more advanced functions. You can do things like delay emails to a future date. So we're going to be talking a little bit about contact management today, and I will briefly go through some functions of importing and exporting contacts, sharing contacts, and also just a brief introduction to Profit CRM's Contact Manager, which is our product at Avidian. Other cool stuff like polling in an email, very useful if you're working with a team of people trying to organize an event or make some decisions. Other ways to manage things like your calendar via email, inserting objects and editing files and so forth. So let's just get started here, and we're gonna start by covering. Well, let me kind of back up. We're going to be talking about these 4 aspects of Outlook, and I mentioned this because not everyone uses all of Outlook's functions, and that's one of the goals of today's program here, is to be able to take more advantage of all the powerful functionality of Microsoft Outlook. So certainly everyone knows what email is. It's your primary way that you communicate other than maybe phone or in-person meetings. Your calendar is how you'll manage your time. Your tasks help you get things done, and contacts are your digital address book. And let's just get rolling here. So I'm going to start by talking about a little review on setting up views. You may or may not know this. I'll just cover a few quick things. I'm in my calendar view. You can, of course, change between day, work week, complete week, and various other ways to arrange your calendar. And I use this little circular highlighter to point out where I'm clicking and pointing to here. I usually keep mine in a work week, but you can choose the what kind of view you want, month and so forth. One of the things, though, that's very useful is to be able to put your task list right into the Outlook view, or your Outlook calendar view. So how that's done is you go up here to the View tab, and you go over here to the To-Do bar, and notice that you have some different options. Like I can put tasks, for example, in the same window that I'm looking at my calendar, which is pretty handy. So over here on the right, I have my task list. I don't have to, toggle between views. You can do other things like you can put a contact search over here on the right if you want. You can do other options like that. So I'll turn the people off. I like to leave my tasks on, but that's just a kind of a quick concept of setting up views. If you happen to be in your email, you can also set up the same sort of thing. Like in your email view, you can go up to the View tab, and you can go over here and you say, I want my to-do bar on the right of my inbox. Now you'll see my task list, or what's called the to-do bar, is part of my inbox. And of course, you can always just toggle between these icons down here at the bottom. Now, I do want to point out that by default, most computers are set up in what's called compact navigation. So I'll go back to that. It's these little tiny little icons. It's kind of even hard to see what they are for some people. So the way you change that to different, a different navigational option is there's these three little dots. You click on that, you go to navigation options, and you simply uncheck the compact navigation setting there. And that way your functions are all spelled out in English. Mail, calendar, people, task, notes. Now, you can also, in these navigation options, choose how many things you want to view. You can move them up and add more. You can move them down and have fewer. So you can see here that I've just reduced it. Now I just have my mail, calendar, people, tasks. But I want to point out that there's a neat little function that not everyone knows about, and it's the ability to have your notes in Outlook. They're actually like Post-it notes. So if I click on that, you can see all my little Post-it notes. These also show up on my desktop, so you can keep track of all your notes. Anyway, those are just a few kind of things to get us warmed up here. But let's get into conditional formatting right away. So there's different types of conditional formatting, and I'm going to show you a few here. One of them is you can have emails that come in that are based on some criteria be automatically color coded rather than just black or blue as a couple of defaults. And how you do that is you set up your, again, go to your View tab, and we're going to set up a conditional formatting, let's say, based on something in an email like the subject line. So we're going to go to View Settings. We're going to set up a conditional formatting. Now I'm in my email client right now. And you can see I have quite a few that are by default already in here, but I'm going to create a new one. So I click the Add button here. I'm going to create it, and I'm going to give it a title. I'm going to call it RFQ. So whenever I get an email with that in the email, you'll see that I can choose what kind of fonts I want, what size it is. I'll make it bold. Let's make it big, and let's choose the color green for RFQ. Green equals money, right? So all I'm doing here is I'm setting up how I want that email to look when it reaches my inbox based upon the condition that I set. So there's a button right here that says condition. And so the conditions, there's a lot of different possibilities, but I'm going to keep it fairly simple for now. And then we can look at some of the advanced options. But let's just say if I get an email with RFQ in the subject field, you can see, you can change that. You can see if it's in the notes or whatever, but I like it in the subject line in this case. You can also choose like if it's from someone or sent to someone, and a variety of other options like that. Time might be based on some of their time criteria, but let's just keep it simple. And let's do a, I have to retype that, RFQ is the term. And I'm going to click OK. Now, you'll see that when I get an inbox, when I get a message in my inbox, and I'm just sitting here in my inbox, and I'm going to look up an email here just so we have some emails on my screen. Here we are. And I'm just sitting here, and somebody sends me an email. In this case, it's going to be an email that is, it's got RFQ in the subject line. So I'm going to go ahead and send that. And what you'll see is it'll come here momentarily. It'll be here in my inbox. By the way, I'm just doing it from another email account here. So I sent that email to my email address here. And you're going to see that when that email comes in, it might take just a moment to get in here, you're going to see that that email will be automatically color coded. So let's just do a little quick send and receive on that. And there it is. Beautiful. Look at that. Bright green, bold RFQ for new projects. So again, what I did there is I set up a condition by going to View Settings, Conditional Formatting here, and I set up my conditions. In this case, the font that I chose was bold, 14 point, nice green font, and the condition was RFQ was in the subject line. So that's pretty awesome. I use this for a lot of different things. So you can set up inbound emails based on say a keyword, and it color codes it. Pretty awesome. I'm sure you can think of a lot of ways that you can use that. Now, another thing that you can do here is that you can create. Let's just talk a little bit about conditional formatting for your, let's just say, calendar. Let's move over to that. So calendar works similarly, but a slightly different concept here. So if I'm in my calendar and I want to create an appointment that has a color code to it, It actually uses the category function of Outlook. You may know that you can create as many categories as you like and give them different colors and labels and such. But what we can do also is we can create conditional rules that if something is in the subject line that, or in the body of the calendar item, that it can create that whole calendar item as a separate color. So what if we just go back here and let's go to our, now I'm in my calendar, I'm going to go to view settings and we'll do some other conditional formatting. So you can see here that I have one called bid prep already created. And I've got this kind of a light green color that it's going to automatically color code it for. And the condition is the term bid prep is in the appointment item there, searching for the words bid prep, which means all I have to do once I've created one of these is to create the calendar item. And I'll just do a quick one here. And I'm going to put the title in the subject line, bid prep. And you'll see what happens. As if by magic, it colors it bright green. So that's kind of a related topic of why we use colors on our calendar. So one of the reasons that I use colors and recommend people think about this is that it shows you where you're using your time by the categories you've created. Maybe you choose a green for revenue generating time, yellow for internal meetings, orange for meeting preparations and that sort of thing. So you can get at a glance, where you're spending your time. But again, all I did there was I created an appointment that has the term that I want in the appointment somewhere, and it automatically coded it for me. Awesome. So how did we do that? Let's take a look. Okie dokie. All right. So let's go and create one of these conditional rules for my calendar. Again, I'm in my calendar. I go up here to view. I go up to view settings, and I'm going to create a new condition. All right. Conditional formatting. Now I'm going to create a new one. So I click the add button right here. And let's just say that I'm going on a fishing trip. So I want to create a rule whenever I do a fishing trip that the term fishing is in it. And we're going to make that, let's make that kind of a very obvious, let's do this brown one here. Okay, so you can choose the color you want. Now, what is the condition? Well, the condition is going to be the word fishing is in my appointment. I don't know why I thought of that today. Maybe I want to feel like going fishing. And let's just make it pretty simple for now, but you could have other choices like categories, things like even based on other fields, time and date fields and so on. But we're going to keep it simple for the moment and just create one that's a condition that will color my calendar item, that nice brown color, whenever I create an appointment that says fishing in it. So let's say I created some block off some time or create an appointment and it has the term fishing in it. And there we go. You can see how it automatically color coded it to that color we chose. So that's how we can use conditional formatting on calendar. I use it for like internal meetings, prepare for meetings, and so on and so forth. So while we're on the topic of color coding, I will point out that context can be color coded too. And I can go in here and I'll just search for a term. We covered searching in some detail in the last couple of sessions. But I'm going to use this search term here, Madagascar. Maybe it's the name of a project or something. And that will just bring up a certain list of contacts. And by the way, all of these, somewhere in these contacts have the term Madagascar in them. You'll see it somewhere down in here. We discussed the project Madagascar. So it searched all my contacts, little sidebar here, for the term Madagascar. But in any event, you can see here that these have been color coded. I've got client, I've got training, I've got IT services. You can add as many categories to a contact as you wish. And they become just kind of a visual flag of, maybe categorizing that contact in one or more different ways. So again, we just created our categories first. By default, there's just color categories, but you can give them all these different names. So you can color code contacts as well. That becomes useful if you want to say, just look at even a list of contacts. So let's just go back there and change this to a list view. You'll see all of these contacts are color coded. Pretty awesome. And by the way, we've color coded, did some conditional formatting on contacts. We did this last session, so I won't get deep into it. but so that contacts in a list form pop out in a certain color when there's some condition that's been met. In this case, there's a pet's name in the contact. So just a little sidebar on that one. So that's conditional formatting for contacts. Now, we're going to switch gears here and we're going to go into something very powerful, and it's how to create, how to manage repetitive actions. How is it we can save time, be more efficient, and get more things done by using these functions here. I'll start with a couple of simple ones. Let's start with a task, and you want to create a task, but it's going to be a task that you do over and over again. So when you create a new task, which I'll do right here in my task function, and it will be to send billing to clients or something like that. Now, I could just make this a one-off task that will remind me to do it on a certain day at a certain time, but instead what we can do is we can make this a recurring task so that you don't have to recreate it every time. Let's make this one start today, and we'll give it a color code, high priority, let's say. That's just a categorization, which could be conditional, but in this case, I'm just creating a color code, and I'm going to set a recurrence. This is really powerful because you don't have to do this once a week or once a month. It'll just automatically remind you to do these things over time. So you want that to be weekly. Okay, that's the box here, daily, weekly, monthly, or yearly. What day of the week do you want this task? You put in, if you want it to have an end date as to when this series of tasks ends, you can. And I'll just make it end of May, or let's just make it one more month, end of June. And now when I click OK and save that task, it's going to pop up here because it's the task I just created. In fact, it's already reminding me to do it. But every Thursday at that time, I'm going to get that task to pop up, and it's going to remind me to do something. So you can set a recurrence on tasks. You probably know you can also set recurrence on calendar items. Like if I want to go fishing every Thursday at 4 o'clock, I can do the same thing. I set a recurrence every Thursday, at 4 o'clock, 4 to 6 p.m. I'm going to go fishing. I can do that. And now that appointment is going to be showing up this week, next Thursday, next Thursday, next Thursday. And by the way, if you've invited people to those events, then they will be in that invitation, and it'll be a recurring event on their calendar. Pretty cool. So that's how to set up recurring tasks and recurring meetings. But I hope you're ready for this, because we're going to do a couple of really neat things here. One of them is called quick parts. You can have, whether you're in any Outlook form, I call it, like an appointment form, a contact form, an email, or even a task, you can create essentially templated content for this. Now, there are two types of templates. The one I use the most is the actual, what's called quick parts. I'll show you both how they work and how they're created, but this is, it's to be for repetitive content that you want to put into some item here. In this case, it's an appointment. So you can see I have a bunch of different ones over here, and one's called my demo block of content. So all I did was select that template, and it put all of that content in this case, an appointment. But when you're using quick parts, once you've created them, and I will show you how to create these, you can actually just enter a keyword. So let's say, hello, John, and I want to now put that block of content in there, though, without having to go up in here and navigate in here and look through all my templates. I gave it a keyword, and that keyword is demo. If it's 4 letters or 4 characters or fewer, you need to hit F3 once you type it in. If it's more than 4 characters, it'll start predicting what you want. And remember, over here in the quick parts, some of them are a little bit more. Like I could have one that's, let me use one that's, I have one that's my direct line, just a little blurb. So I start typing in the word direct, and it's predicting, as you can see right here, it's predicting that I might want to use that template. Just saves you a little time, just a little blurb, a block of content that I could put in. So that's called quick parts. How do we create them? Well, I'll just give you some concepts here. So let's say I wanted to create a quick part that had some content in it, and I'm just going to jump into just something on my screen here, my other screen. I'll pick some content out of that. And okay, so Here's some content that I would want to, let's just say I had some content that I've sent or received via email before, and this is it right here, this block of content. I'll make it just text here. By the way, that's a little, I'll show you a little trick here. If you just want to paste some, formatted content as text, you can certainly do that. And that would be something that you might want to just, let's just paste it as, plain text, okay? Just so we can show that. Okay. Okay. Continue. There we go. There's my plain text. Now, whatever it is, it's just content you've written before. It's repetitive. You don't want to have to write it every time. So how do you create a quick part? You highlight the text that you've created, and you go up here to the insert tab, wherever you happen to be, and you'll see that those quick parts are there. And quick parts are part of every Outlook form. So now you go down and you say, I'm going to save that to the quick part gallery, and I'm going to give it a name. I'm going to call it YouTube. And that's a new quick part that I just created. Now let's imagine you're going to create an email or an appointment or something, and you want to insert that. Now I just start typing in the term YouTube, and it'll predict that I want to use that. Bingo. There's another little quick insert you probably know about, but I'll mention it anyway, and that is the ability to insert things like a signature. It'll ask you what signature do you want to use, and you can just put that in any item. So you can input signatures into an email or into a calendar item. Again, you just go up here, choose which one you want, and there it is. So this is the idea of kind of automating repetitive tasks. Right now we're talking about automated, content creation. Let's just switch a little bit here just to show you can do all the same sort of thing when you're in email, and I'll do a couple of things in email. So again, my quick parts are here. I can type in a keyword, or I can go in and insert my quick parts right here. And let's just say there, you can book an appointment on my calendar. That's a quick part. Now, another way to get content into emails or other Outlook forms is to use the actual templates function that is now part of Microsoft 365. Similar idea, and there are pros and cons to using one or the other, since they're both a form of templates. These I like because they follow me around. In other words, all of these templates will be on my laptop, my desktop, my home computer. Anytime I'm logged into my 365 account, they follow me. Quick parts don't do that, and it's really a pain to try to share quick parts with other people. It's very complicated. You don't want to try it. So it's up to you. You can create a new template over here and let's just say I was going to create one, some terms of service or something like that. I can go and you have to scroll all the way to the bottom to create a new template. You click template, you put your content in here, and you can give it a name, ABC terms or something. Now I save it, and that becomes one of my, well, see, there's another limitation of this. There's too many characters in this template. So let's go back to quick parts. I think I like it better after all. The templates though are handy, that they do follow you around. So that's kind of a cool thing. All right, let's keep moving here. So quick parts, they work in all Outlook forms, whether it's an email, an appointment, contact, or text. Doesn't really matter. Quick parts. Now, let's get into something that's very powerful, and it's called quick steps here. There are some built-in quick steps that are kind of by default as part of your Outlook here. You'll see it up on the very top. You do have to be in the home part of the ribbon. And all these things, what are quick steps? Well, quick steps are something where you can say, I want to quickly create a new email that is a new email to a client. I've created this quick step already, and I would just, who it's going to be to, and the content, if there is any content. You can see this one, thanks for your order. All right, and it's addressed to somebody in advance or a distribution list. And it's a really nice way to just not just insert content, but actually create the email addressed to someone with a subject line and all that. Again, just saving you more time. Now I'll show you a little bit about how those are created. You can create a lot of different types of quick steps. Just go up here, and now you're going to go in here, and there's a little drop down arrow, and it shows you the ones you already have, but then it's going to say a new quick step. So, well, here's the different things you could do with the quick step. You could create a new email like I was just showing you. You could create a quick step to categorize or move something to a folder, but I like this one because we do it so much. We create emails all the time. And maybe this is an email that I want a new quick step, and I want to call it, terms. And now this isn't terribly obvious here. So what we're going to do is we're going to have to go in here where it says options. And I want to put in the content down in this little box down here. Okay. Now, if I want this message to be to someone in particular, you can put in their, start typing in their email address, and it will put them into that quick step. And now I've saved that as a new quick step. And you can see it here in my little quick step window, or if I hit the drop down, you can see all these different ones. If I want to launch it, I just click quick step, and there's that email with the terms of service or whatever you put in. So that's how you create a quick step, and it just automates things very nicely. Let's try one of my other ones here. Yeah. So the whole idea here is that you can automate creating of emails to somebody with certain content and things like that. Pretty awesome. So going a little bit more into these, I wanted to show you that you can go, the options here are enormous. You can create quick steps again on a new meeting. Maybe you want to have a meeting that's automatically populated with recipients and so forth. You can go into the custom and start giving, custom actions to it. So it's a very powerful function. It's called quick steps, kind of a nice little cousin to quick parts. Let's get into a little bit different mode here and talk about some rules. I like to call it the magic of rules, because the idea of rules is that you can basically automate things that would be repetitive. And let's talk just a little bit about an out of office rule. So you go to set up some rules for when you're out of office. Of course, you probably have done this before. You just go to automatic replies. And what you can do, though, here's some of the more advanced functions of this, is that you can actually say, I only want this sent during a time range rather than starting right now. And you can put different content in it for people inside your organization or people outside your organization, which is a nice thing because you might have a little bit different thing to say. Outside, I'm giving them a little bit more information, how to schedule a meeting. Inside, I'm just saying, hey, I'm not available today. And then you can say when you want it to end, both the date and the time. I am actually going on a vacation day tomorrow and Monday, so I could set that up. So I want to set my start time up here for tomorrow, and I want it to start at 7:30. It's my normal start time, and I want it to end on Monday at 5 p.m. let's say, because that's when I'll be back. I click OK. Now automatically tomorrow my email will be set to everyone will get an automated reply based on whether they're in my company or outside of it. Pretty cool. Simple, but cool. But now we're going to do something that's jumping into a different level, and it's the use of some advanced rules here. So right here in this area called Move, there's a rules engine. And I'll show you, I've used it a lot. So if you click Manage Rules, here's all the rules that I have. And you can see that I can create them for different things, like request for a quote might be a rule. And that request for a quote is already set up, but we're going to set up a new one here in a moment. That request for quote, it shows you right here that the condition is that request for quote it will be in the subject line, and where it's going to move it to my folder called quote requests. Okay. So again, if you click on this, you can change that or create different rules. But if I send a new email that has request for quote in it, you'll see what happens, and we'll come back and create a new rule. I have the folder already created. If you haven't created the folder that you want to route it to, well, of course you have to create a folder. If you don't know how to do that, you right click and just say new folder, give it a name. But I've already created this one, and I've had some other emails coming in. Guess what they all have in common on it? They have the term request for quote, and so they were automatically routed to my quote requests folder. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new email to show you how that routing actually works. So I'm doing that on my other screen with my other email account, and I'm going to put request for quote in the subject line, huge contract request for quote, something fun like that. Now, I'm just going to send it now. And because it's an automated rule, it's going to end up in my quote request folder over there, but you'll also see that you probably know that when you see a little bold blue number by a folder, that means it's unread. So look at that. That email that I got in is automatically routed to my quote request folder. So let's create a rule. How about that? So we go to the Home tab here, and we're going to go up here to Rules. Only this time we're going to create a rule. Okay, so we're going to give that. It's going to kind of default to, if you're on an email, maybe you want that in the subject line. But I'm going to use my little term Madagascar again. So if I get an email with the subject contains Madagascar, it's going to route this to a folder. Okay. Now we're not done. All I'm doing now is I'm selecting subject contains. Now these are and filters. So if I selected it has to be from somebody and the subject contains and it was sent to me only, or other options, you can do that. But we'll keep it simple just to make it clear here. So the subject contains Madagascar. Okay. Now what do you want it to do? Well, we want it to, maybe you want it to display in a new alert window or play a sound. What sound do you want? All kinds of cool stuff here. There's the sound I heard. Move it to the folder. Now here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to move this. I'll just move this to my read later folder. Okay. And just because the project Madagascar is on hold or something, I'm going to read about later. So I select the folder, read later. And again, select folder, read later. I'm creating the rule here. And there's some advanced options. Boy, you can really get into this. If it has various specific words in the body and the email address and the subject line and on and on and on. There's a lot of different potential ways to do it. But we've selected that the rule applies if the message has the term Madagascar in the subject line, and we're going to route it to that folder that yeah, that's fine. Okay, so we've created that rule called Madagascar, and over here in my read later folder, there's that email that's the last one I did. I'll send another one just for the fun of it, so you can see it working. And we're going to go in here and create a new email, which I'm doing on my other screen right now. And we'll just show you how that routes it based on a keyword in the subject line. I'll just call it Madagascar project. Click send. And then it's going to take that email that I just sent, and you'll see it popping up here in my read later folder. By the way, this read later folder is a really good one. It's just a folder I created called read later. And the thing about it is the read later folder, oh, by the way, there's my new email. See how I put it right in that folder, because that's the rule I just created. I was just thinking the other day, maybe I'll create a rule that any emails from my boss, I just put in the read later folder automatically. How about that? That'd be fun. All right, little humor, never heard. So that's the use of rules for email. They're very powerful. They're useful throughout all of Outlook, and it will definitely help you manage your email and your time. So let's get into some more calendar functions, just to switch gears a little bit. One of the key concepts of your calendar, as we already talked about, was just setting up your views. We covered that in some detail. But one of the things you can do is share your calendar with someone else. So if I click share calendar, this, by the way, is part of the Microsoft 365 environment. You can basically give them different permission levels. So the idea is I'm going to share my calendar. I would put the email address of the person that I want to share it with. I would give them certain permission levels. And this is very important here, because you can set different permission levels for different people. Can view all details, can view some details, can see when I'm busy. Maybe they can't see anything about it. It's just on the calendar. They can edit it. They can view all details and so on. So when I do that, then those people get an invitation to view my calendar, which, as you may know, is something that's very, very handy when you start sharing your calendar with other people, because then you can see their calendar maybe alongside of yours, or maybe you want 3 people's calendars. Just maybe you're going to try to get some something scheduled with a bunch of people, that's very handy. And all of the functions up here work, the work week, the day, all of that. So the sharing of a calendar is a very useful thing if you didn't already know how to do it. Colors and themes. Well, that's actually something, it's pretty basic, but you can select a lot of different things like your themes and stuff like that in Outlook. Let's not get into that. It's just a pretty handy thing. If somebody wants to know more about that, just ping me later. I'll post my contact information, because I wanted to get to something that we had a lot of interest in in the last session, and I want to take a little more time to go through that. And that's how to create put a date picker into, say, an email or any Outlook form. So the way you have to do this, it's a little not terribly obvious, is you have to start in a Word document and you create the content. Like, let's say this was going to be one of your quick parts. All right. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go into the Developer tab, and that's where the magic lies for these little things like checkboxes and date picker and things like that. So you'll see that I've already created a couple here. Notice that's actually a drop-down list. See that? So when I send this email, before I do it, I can say I'd like to schedule a. Maybe you want a drop-down list. This, again, it's in a Word document now, but we'll put it in an email. A live demonstration, an intro call. So you can choose from a drop-down list rather than just having to manually type it. And then you might want to say I'm available on, and let's make that a date picker. That's how you do that. Now, actually, that's what it looks like once you've done it. How you actually do it is you just put your cursor where you want that item to be. And let's just say it's the date picker here. So I'm going to put that in here. Now, look at that. I can say, I can insert that anywhere in the paragraph. And that's just exactly what I did here, where it has the date June 8th on it. So there's a couple of other options with that. One of them is to go into the properties of that properties button once you're in the date picker that you've created here, and you can choose different time and date formats. Like now we'll see that, it'll show the entire, day of the week, May spelled out, the 20th, 2021, or maybe I don't want that level of detail. Maybe I want a very simple date. So again, I go back into properties and I can change that to say something just like that. So now when I do it, it's just a simplified short date. Pretty cool. So that's how to create a date picker. Now you can actually create a lot of cool things. I might as well cover them while we're in here. Maybe you want to have some checkboxes like for a survey or something. How interested are you? And maybe I'm just going to very interested, somewhat interested, or some kind of survey thing where you want some checkboxes. I'll just create a little bit of content here, etc. And you can have as many of these as you want. And then what you can do is you can insert a checkbox in front of those so that people can check the box. Simple, but very useful. And now we'll cover this item here, which is the creation, the drop-down list. You saw it here, but notice there's nothing in it. Okay, so I'm interested in something. Okay, we'll go into properties, and this is where we create the products, or something like that. And oops, let me just type that in better. I'm just giving the title of this control panel a name. And then we're going to say, I want to add a product to this. So I could say product A. I could add another one, product B. I'll add one more, and we'll call it service package or something, whatever. So I'm just creating a little selector box here for these things. And now you can see that's how I created that drop-down list. I'm interested in your service package, product A, product B. Pretty cool. And these are all just things that you can do right in Word. Now, how do we get all this into a quick part? Well, you create it in Word because of these little control box functions here. And we're just going to copy that into an email now. So I'm going to create a new email here, and then we can create our quick part out of it. So here we go. I highlight, we did this before, but now I've got my date picker and my drop-down box or whatever in it. And I want to save this as a quick part, and we'll call it, what will we call this today? We'll call it the date picker. Okay, so now I've created that, and I just start typing in the keyword that I want. In this case, it has my nice little drop downs in it. So before I send this email, I can fill it out. Available for a live demo, and here's the date and time. Pretty awesome. That's how that works. That is the ability to create date picker, they call it, and or other functions, just really to help automate doing things quickly and more efficiently. A couple of things that I found not too many people know is I can, let me just get to my desktop here for a second. And I'm going to just say I wanted to have maybe this email saved to my desktop. I can actually just drag and drop it. It puts it right there. You can drag it into any folder. So in other words, you don't have to put things in email folders. You can put them other places. And the cool thing about it is when I click on that, you can see that it actually brings up the actual email. I could reply to whatever, forward it. So that's a handy little function to just take something that you don't necessarily want to store in an Outlook email folder and put it into another location like your desktop. You can actually do that with your appointments too. I could take an appointment and I could move it over by dragging it onto my desktop here or some other file location. So there we go. There's that fishing appointment right on my desktop. Might be handy. Okay, so what else can we do with these sorts of things? Well, one thing I found useful is I can take and I can copy this email into a folder, and I'm just going to create a folder for that. Let's just, or just put it in one of my other folders, like a client folder or something. So if I went in and I had a folder that I wanted that email to be in, a very specific folder, I'll just put it in one here, and I'll create the folder. It'll be called fishing or whatever. So I've got a folder that I want to put this in. Now, to put it into that folder, I just paste. I had already had it in my clipboard. Now I just paste it in there. So that email is now in a folder anywhere in your computer. Very useful if you get emails like requests for quote or bid prep or anything like that, things that are very meaningful, but they go in they belong to like a client folder or something. That's what that would be all about. So I found that to be very useful. Let's go back to email for a second, and let's get a look at my time. Yeah, we're about at the scheduled end time, but I do want to cover a couple of things. Inserting other things into an email. We did quick parts, but you can also insert things like objects. Now, what are they? Well, an object could be any number of things, but it could be an Excel chart. I'm going to back up for a second. I'm in an email. I'm in my insert tab, and way over here is I can insert an object, and I can tell it what kind of object that I want to insert. I could kind of create a little Excel spreadsheet right on the fly there. Look at that. And here's the data. I can modify it if I want. I can say, entertainment. This is like a little mini Excel spreadsheet that you can put like right into an email or something there. There we go. So that's inserting an object, and you can insert different objects, a whole bunch of different types of objects. It's just different than an attachment is the idea. I can put PowerPoint presentations in here. I can do all kinds of stuff that basically insert objects, bitmap image, and so on. I like that little Excel sheet. That was kind of fun. Something that that is worth talking a little bit about is how you can take an existing email and edit that email, like the actual content of it. What you do is you open that email up, and you'll see it's not obvious right here where it says more, of all things. You can turn on edit message. Okay, now check this out. I can actually go in here and edit the message. Now, not only that, I could actually format that with my formatting options here that are just part of your inbox here, your email. Like I could make it different size and that kind of thing. Bold. Cool. Now to save it, you just hit your little save icon there. That's all you got to do. Now that email that is in my inbox or sent items has been edited and saved with those edits. I've been using that one a lot. Let's see here. We're going to wrap up by talking a little bit about contacts. And because contacts are a key part of Outlook, I wanted to talk a little bit about that. We've covered a lot of the basics in the last session, but one of the things I want to talk about is shared contacts. Now, shared contacts are a different, kind of a different item here. So shared contacts are using what's called either shared or public folders. This is natively part of the Office 365 or Microsoft 365 environment. But you can see that over here on the left, I have these folders that are called public folders. In Office 365, they're called shared folders. But essentially, it's the ability to put contacts, or for that matter, emails and things like that, into a shared folder, which is all permission-based. But it is part of the Outlook functionality. We're not going to get deep into it, but just so you all know, that's one way to share contacts. And I'm going to wrap up here just by summarizing a couple of things about Profit's CRM Contact Manager. So many of you may be Profit users today. I'm sure there's a lot of them on the call. You'll know you have your Profit folders once you have Profit installed, and this will bring up different contact lists. Now, the reason I bring this up is this is the next level. Definitely Outlook contacts can only take you so far. So what instead I'm going to show you is just a few tips and tricks on why you might want to think more about setting up your contacts in Outlook, in Profit rather, a certain way. You do have to subscribe to us and get a license. You can set up different lists, like I have all these different lists by industry and so forth, or by location. And the reason I'm sharing this with you, this really takes Outlook to that next level. And you can choose among all the Outlook fields, first name, last name, phone number, mobile, and all that. But Profit adds 20 customizable fields that are part of the contact. So down here at the bottom, these can be customized by you or your company. And you can have like, what type of contact are they? So you can have very granular contact. Are they a lead? Where did this lead come from? Are they married? What are their hobbies? What's their role? Could be different. And maybe you want to have something like a bio box or something in the contact. So all of these things. And the nice thing about these is you can display them and sort and filter by these in your view. So this is, again, Profit Contact Manager 101 stuff here. But I just thought I'd mention it because it's kind of the next step after you've pushed Outlook as far as you can when it comes to contacts and contact management. So one other quick thing on contact management, you can do things like set up automated follow-up. This would be kind of like the idea of setting up a drip series. These are template based. I can set up a series that can go out 6 months, a year, doesn't really matter. You can create as many touches as you like. You can deselect some, or you can very granularly choose which items are going to be processed. And then on those future dates, either if it's a reminder, it just pops up in Outlook. If it's an appointment, it's on your calendar. It's a type of sales automation, and very, very useful. They're set up in the settings tool. That's another training. We have webinars on this, but I just wanted to kind of finish up with kind of a little bit of discussion about where you go from when you've taken Outlook as far as you can. So I do appreciate everyone's time today. I know we're all busy, and I hope I have added some value to your day. This is recorded. You'll automatically get an email. If you've registered with us for the webinar, you'll get a recording of it, a link to the recording. I'm also easy to reach. Our entire company believes very strongly in just listening and helping our customers out. So feel free to reach out. And in the meantime, I want you to have all of you have a great, safe rest of the day. Take care. Be safe.